Hello, this is Andy Cannon. Coming to you with my uh, barriers project video. I know it says 5 to 7 minutes, but this could go a little bit longer than that. We'll go ahead and start out. What the details of the assignment is, you have to go over each standard, and there's 6 of them here. So let's go ahead and start with standard one. um, Standard one is vision, mission, and goals. I kind of look at the quality indicators of meeting this standard before, or all my standards before, kind of diving into them a little bit to see what I'm kind of looking for. So if I quote a quality indicator, that's why. I just want to let you know off the bat. So standard one, vision, mission, and goals. An athletic program, one of our goals is to have a pretty clear vision or a pretty clear mission of what we want to accomplish for the athletic program. Overall, some common barriers for this is that you can't really develop a clear vision or mission, or either one becomes too wordy, or two becomes it's too simple. Sort of ways to get around this and to this barrier and to complete your goal of setting goals or a mission would to be, in my mind, is to have your staff, all your coaches come together and come together in a collaborative group and try to figure out what the mission, what we want to do with the athletic programs. And then, of course, you being the athletic administrator would have final say. But I think the collaborative group works the best, working together with your peers, working together with the coaches, the people who run your sports program. We want to hear their side. We want to see and hear what they have to take on it. All right, standard number two. By the way, Professor, I know these are for administration, but it's kind of hard to apply them to sports, but I'm doing my best. All right. Teaching and learning is standard number two. This is where we have our standard is we want to have the knowledge and ability to ensure that the students are getting an education and that there's a positive environment. Now, in athletics, our goal here is to train our athletes and prepare them for the event and sport, but also make it a learning environment outside of the classroom. That's why we call it extracurricular. It's something that it just promotes more learning outside. Outside of the classroom, excuse me. So for this, some of our common barriers maybe is that we don't have a positive environment for our sports programs. Maybe our sports program, maybe an example would be football. Maybe football hasn't been very good historically for the school. So what you want to do to get around that kind of barrier, and how we want to meet our goal of making sure that our students are in fact learning something outside of the classroom and using it as a teaching tool, is that we are implementing good instructional plans. Okay, so that means we have practice plans made up of drills and other things that teaches them the correct way to do things within the sport. And we also hire proper personnel to get it done. We don't want a coach that has a background of losing negatively. We don't want that. We want to have a good positive learning environment. We want to have it a nice safe spot just a nice program for the athletes to really learn from. All right, standard number three. I know it feels like I'm rushed. Standard number three, management of organizational systems. So I looked at the quality indicators on this. 1, 2, and 3, manage the organizational structure, lead personnel, and then manage resources. So basically, we have to make sure that we manage things properly, especially resources. And the athletic department, the goal is to make sure we are managing what we have, keeping it as long as possible for the time that it is safe to use. And when I'm saying this, I'm talking about equipment, those resources, and of course the facilities as those resources as well. So a common goal is to have the up-to-date state-of-the-art things for our athletes to use. But in order to do that, we need it needs to be new first. And if it's new or slightly used first, then how are we going to take care of it and how are we going to manage it? along with the athletic director, kind of a goal is to make sure you are organizing and keeping with your coaches as best as you can. So some common barriers not to be able to get to these goals are maybe you have a coach or a set of coaches that don't care about their equipment, and they just treat it poorly, and eventually it breaks down. And well, money is also a resource, and you don't have it for that particular sport. Well, that's kind of a common roadblock there. So kind of a way to meet this is to make sure you're meeting with your coaches a lot, email, memo, even meetings, explaining the importance of managing resources, of managing what we have, and how we use it, and how it shouldn't be destroyed, and how we should take pride in what we have. That way, when push comes to shove, we don't have to spend money on those things, and we'll have money to buy newer things as long as we keep taking care of them. Standard number 4 is collaboration with families and stakeholders. As a goal for the athletic program is you want to have maximum participation from family and of course stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, there's a ton of them out there. Mainly community support, businesses, support from school personnel. Okay, so our main goal is we want to have maximum family participation, and that is concession stand, volunteering, and things like that. And then also we want to have maximum participation from the community. Okay, we want them to take pride in our athletic program. So some common roadblocks, I want to say roadblocks for some reason, some common barriers to this is that maybe the family likes to watch their kid or their member play sports, but they don't really want to participate in concession stands. They don't want to volunteer. They don't want to sell T-shirts. They don't want to do car washes. Unfortunately, for an example that falls into my parents, they never volunteered for things like that. So that's a common barrier. And then another common barrier is maybe your community involvement, your other stakeholders. They don't see maybe fully eye to eye with some of the things you're doing, or perhaps the sport isn't as well recognized as another sport, so they automatically push it aside. Alright, so some ways to kind of implement these goals of having max participation is to have open communication. Okay, have open communication with the parents. Remind them of what's going on. Just kind of be a chirp in their ear, a little bird. I guess use Twitter. But use the technology to remind them about things that happen, because a lot of times it might not be that they don't want to participate, or because it's it's a lack of participation thing. It's that they don't know. As an adult, I need to be reminded several times about things. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's the truth. That communication, open communication, really does work. Same way with stakeholders. Send them an email every now and then, thanking them for their continued support, even if they don't support you. They do eventually give you. They will support you, unless there's some sort of personal vendetta against a coach, which that can be covered later on in different course. Standard number 5: ethics and integrity. So here we need to make sure that we're doing things with integrity. We're following ethic codes. And so our goal here for sports is, integrity is a big definition for us. We want to do stuff with integrity. We want our programs to act with integrity. We don't want to be the knuckleheads out there getting personal fouls, getting red cards, getting thrown out of the ball games. Okay, so we want to carry ourselves with integrity. So our goal is to have that taught to the kids through the coaches and through example. That we want to be we want to fall into the sportsmanship category, good sportsmanship, and then ethics, of course, and following the rules. So some common road barriers to this may be just personal egos. It gets in the way a lot. Coaches, players, parents. Okay, it happens. But here's the thing: if we take to our way to get around this road barrier, or this barrier, is to educate them about good sportsmanship. Always be in their ear about it. Every time we have a meeting, for example, I have a junior high football team. After every practice, we come together, we meet, we talk about the day, expectations, and then I always hit on it, sportsmanship. You need to be the best quality athlete you can be because you're representing Kelly. You're representing our school. We don't want to get the reputation of being a bunch of knuckleheads. Um, and most importantly, eventually through junior high and high school, they get that sense of, hey, I am representing something much larger than myself. However, this is becoming critically harder to do with um, some of the or me generation. All right, now our last standard, standard number 6, professional development. In this case, this standard is for education and athletics. Is we want our staff, we want our coaches to be as well versed and as well knowledged in their profession as they possibly can, receiving up-to-date facts, up-to-date methods and practice schemes and all kinds of stuff in that nature. So, a common barrier for this, a goal would be to keep our coaches well coached. Coaching coaches, that's kind of neat. But a barrier that stands in front of this for our school is financial. Okay, financially, we can't. The school won't send us to some of these things because one, they're expensive. Coaching clinics generally are a little bit more expensive than teaching clinics. And at the same time, is you got to think of the other things here too. They got to hire a sub for maybe 1 to 2 or 3 or maybe a whole week, so that's extra money right off the bat. Then they have to cover your lodging, transportation. Perhaps you find one that's close, and you don't have to do that. But those are slim, especially in Southeast Missouri. We might have one football clinic and Kate, and it lasts for a night, and then you're kind of left to go to the bigger cities. So with that, to kind of get around that, and to have to meet our goal of coaching our coaches would be to fundraise a little bit more. Okay, set aside funds. Really look at it through a financial lens of, hey, we need to have our coaches at the best they can be. We need to have them trained up in a way that will help our athletes and will help them discover the education outside of the educational classroom, which is really our main goal. So with that being said, with all 6 standards, we really need to consider each one, and then, of course, making goals for each one, and then overcoming those roadblocks.